You were talking about building brick by brick. Building what?
Building Grai. I think if that would be that would be a question. So building Grai and Grai and the form that it is today is.
Hi, Stefan. It's nice to see you again.
Hello, Mădălina.
How are you?
I'm good. I booked the entire place for me. As you can see behind me, it's a beautiful.
Where?
Space. This is Cluj Hub.
Oh.
And Tudor. I gave Tudor a phone, right? And I asked him, "Hey, Tudor, we have this Ask Me Anything event today, and we really need 2 spaces to do this interview. So it would be really great if you could help me out, help a brother out with a space." So he said, "Yeah, sure, you can have Cluj Hub for you, the entire Cluj Hub."
So it's really no one there, like no one.
We do have, I think, 2 people around, but some more people are about to come. There are two events scheduled for today, but yeah, Tudor
and
said,
a live one. We have a live one also.
Yeah. And Tudor said to say so I can be the messenger. Tudor said that it would be great to give to the audience this message that if you are sick and tired of working at home, you can feel free to come visit Cluj Hub to see if that fits or not. They do have all the measurements that COVID pandemic is requesting. So feel free to come and have a look if you want to work with cool people around.
Are you working from there?
No, I'm working from home. I'm just having the event from here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start this event. May I, sir?
Of course.
Okay, let's do this. So, hello everyone. For the people wondering who am I and why am I hosting this event, my name is Mădălina. I am the team lead for the Startup Grind Cluj-Napoca team. And for our July event, I kind of switched roles with my partner in crime, Stefan. When we were talking about what events should we plan for July, we wanted to do something special because, well, it's kind of the middle of a crazy year when everything and everyone had to switch the way they live their lives. And well, it was a huge and really important switch for us also. So this webinar is going to be special because the host or the usual host is going to answer my questions, and I'm usually the one behind the camera. So it's really nice to be here, but I am also, I gotta admit, really nervous about being here.
Me too.
So Stefan, help me out.
Me too. I'm definitely nervous. Like I said in my short video teaser and invitation for people to join the the last minute moment to join the event, I said that I'm nervous, and it's really new. There are new things for me, and definitely I'm going to explore them in the future.
Yeah. So this is one of the few occasions when you are being asked questions and you are not asking the questions. And I'm gonna talk more about how you create the context where you are the one asking questions. But for the first part of my talk, because this is what you usually do and I am following your steps, I will have to talk about what Startup Grind is. So Startup Grind is the biggest, the largest community worldwide of founders, entrepreneurs, startup people, creatives that are getting together through these events or events like this to share, to learn, to teach, and to connect. Because one of the value that Startup Grind community has is about making friends and not only contacts. So I'm really happy to be here and to have all these friends with me. And the main friend for today is Ștefan Koritar. Ștefan Koritar is the chapter director of Startup Grind Cluj-Napoca, and he is also an entrepreneur, a product manager, a business developer, a visionary, and a seeker. And should I go on? Because I can go on.
The jack of all trades, right? It's never. I mean, it's sometimes it's good to be jack of all trades, but sometimes it's not. You have a unique fit or context that the jack of all trades fit. But yeah.
Okay, let's dive in what you're saying about all the fits and all these jacks when I'm talking with Stefan. Let's see. I have prepared a list of questions for you, like you do for your guests. And I know it's a bit funny that you have no idea what are these questions. So for everyone attending, I did not show the questions to him.
That's true. I did ask the question. Can I see the questions? And I got a big no. So yeah.
No, you are not allowed. I have a list of questions that are both from myself, from our team, and from people that sign up for the event and they send by email or by DMs via Instagram or Facebook. So it's a bit a mixed list of questions. So it's not really a chronological one or anything like that.
Okay.
We're just going to play around and we're going to do really a Q&A session, right?
Okay.
Okay. Let's do this. People, the one who have joined, please ask your questions, write them in the Q&A box or in the chat. I'm going to get questions also from you because the live audience is also really important. And for Maria or Alex from our team, please, if there will be questions on social media, Facebook or Insta, please write them here in the Q&A section so I can see them because I shut down all my social media. It's my first Startup Grind event, so I couldn't handle all the social media and the live here. So thank you for helping me. And well, hello again, Stefan.
Hello.
My first question is going to be beyond all the naming that I already said about being an entrepreneur or being a business person and so on. And I'm going to ask you, who are you?
Oh, that's a really good open question. As I have on my social media bio, which is kind of a, our construction, our digital construction of our who we want to be as egos. I have written over there, seeker of truth, on a journey of light. So honestly, I think the best definition of me would be that I'm a person that is constantly shape-shifting, because that's how I would frame my experience so far, because I'm natively and organically curious, and I like to jump into all kinds of experiences, to just discover different parts of me, different nuances, different perspectives. And the overall feeling about myself so far is that, and I did met this thing in conversation with other people, is that I have the feeling that I've lived so many lives until now.
Yeah.
So, and that is due to the fact that I'm really curious and I like to learn a lot of stuff about me, because I'm connecting to your question a lot about me, right? First of all, who am I? What's the limitations that I have? What is beyond me as a human being? Me as Ștefan Koritar? Me as a human being with the name Ștefan? And what is beyond? How can we access more wisdom that is accessible to us, but you just have to find the ways. So that would be somehow a spiritual perspective of who am I. But from a social life perspective, I think I could name myself as a truly business person, and that is one passion that I'm dedicated to, and have been dedicated for the past 10, 12, almost 12 years, dedicated to business, to startups, to exploring what can be done new, and how can we improve things, businesses, lives around us.
Okay, that's a really complex answer. I did see on your social media the description on a journey of light, truth, and higher self. And I was curious, how does that combine, or yeah, I think that's the word. How does that combine with the business part of who you are and your day-to-day life?
Yeah. I believe that business is not separate from human beings, and I think if you have conversations with people that are more experienced than me and are within business, they could agree definitely 100%. And I did have these conversations with other people, but like I said, it's not separate from people from business. Businesses are built by people, definitely, and in my short time of being and running a couple of teams or being part of teams, I can definitely say now that without the chemistry within a team that works perfectly, you cannot have a sustainable business. That's for sure. And one thing that I wanted to say before at the beginning, when I heard the question, but decided to approach it a bit differently, was the fact that I really believe that our business can grow only by unblocking our limitations.
Okay.
And that is that from all the things that from the category that you don't know what you don't know, always step always step into that place of you don't know what you don't know, because stepping into that place can give you so many answers to questions that you even don't know, or you don't know what kind of questions you have to put, so you can find out the answers that you need, so you can level up your business. But you're going to level up the business mainly through yourself, right? So whenever you open up a new perspective, a new information is added to your brain, and start chunking it up, and letting it sit in your brain for 2-3 days, and then suddenly there comes an idea of how you can scale your sales, scale business, or whatever. But I truly believe that in the DNA of the business sits self-awareness, personal development, spiritual evolution, and yeah.
So basically, you would say that the combination between the seeker and the businessman is a continuum that is always going to happen?
Yes, it's a never-ending story. And
Okay.
I truly believe this because from what I did so far in terms of the seeking of my own personal evolution, and in conversations with friends, with you, of the evolution of the self, it could be spiritual, it could be emotional, rational, whatever the evolution you pick to work on, it's going to be a never-ending story. It's not like you're going to go to school for 1 year and going to have an exam and that's it, you're right, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's done.
This is one mental frame that it's kind of encoded into us from the beginning, from the get-go. But that's definitely something that's not going to change. And you can also see from the statistical point of view, somewhere after 40-45 years of old, people start questioning, who am I? What is there? Is there more than I can access?
Yeah.
Is this everything, right? Because you start having these questions, like, I mean, even me at 33 years old, right? I already start having some questions about life and where I am. Again, it's not like I didn't have them, right? Everything started I've seen the steps that kicked off until now. But yeah, that would be again a complex answer.
Yeah, you are really chatty today. It's really nice because I was scared that I was going to ask questions and you're going to be like a short answer and I'm going to be like, oh my God, what should I say? But thank you for helping me. You were talking about school and you were mentioning that it's not always going to be just you learn something, you give a test and it's done. Where did you go to school?
Yeah, so I'm for the people that don't know this, I'm from Nădlac. It's a border small city from the west side of Romania. That's where I did my school up until high school. High school was done in Slovakian language. So I did everything that you can imagine. I mean, if you imagine you having chemistry in Romanian, I had it in Slovakian in Romania.
I hate it in Romanian. Did you love it in Slovakia?
I was lucky because we had a funny and entertaining professor. So he made us love chemistry. It's really important, especially when you're teaching something so heavy, to be entertaining. And then I went to Arad, which is a close by city, and did my bachelor's in business administration and then also master's in business administration. Not in tech, but in retail, hospitality and services.
Okay, we'll get to how did you end up in the tech industry, but just before that, I would like to know, how was the young Stefan who moved from Arad to Cluj thinking about Stefan that is 33 years old?
So,
do you remember? Do you even remember?
If I envision myself, that I'm going to be this way.
Yeah.
A good question. I don't think so, honestly. I tried. I was sitting right. I was sitting with it because the first thing came that I don't think so. But I was sitting with it just to see if it sits, if it does something else doesn't come. But I don't think so. I just I remember as 22 years old, what I had, it was a big drive to leave home.
Leave home.
Yeah. It was kind of, there was a lot of pressure from all kinds of sides on me. And honestly, I think I couldn't take it anymore. And I just, this is a really funny story, right? A lot of people say that this is bullshit, and maybe me, myself, I'm not believing in it today with my 33 years old experience. But me, before leaving home, I read the book, The Power of, how was it? I'm having a lapsus. The Law of Attraction.
Okay.
So it was kind of one of the first books of my of personal development. My first book was from Peran Novakovic at 17 years old, and that was called Personalitate Alpha. But this book, the Law of Attraction, I read it, and I just somehow crazy maniacally started thinking about leaving. This was like every single day I had this thought and concentrated a lot of energy and focus. I started removing myself from different social contexts that I had back home, that I was doing, and just sitting behind my desktop and nothing else, just dreaming about leaving home. And it took me precisely 6 months. Yeah. So this was right after finishing my bachelor's degree, and then the law of attraction kicked off, And in December, I got a call from a Cluj-based company. Would you come for an interview, right? And so I don't want to say that I don't want, with this statement, I don't want to say that I'm a big pusher of the law of attraction works, right? But right now, between that moment and this moment, with all the research and all the statistics and much more, data-driven evidence, there's a lot of numbers that can prove if you focus your energy sufficiently enough with a consistent energy for a sufficiently long enough period, you will obtain what you wish for. So I don't know if that worked. That was the kickoff. That was what happened, the law of attraction for me. But that was the intention, right, back then.
What do you think the 22-year-old Stefan would say about the 33-year-old Stefan? Am I going into deep?
I think he would look up. Yeah. I think this is a short answer, right? From if you were afraid.
Yep.
I think he would look up to 33 years old Stefan. That was the first thing that came to me.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the naming that I used when I introduced you, and there are some, I don't know, let's call them labels that I use there, and I would like to talk about each one of them to understand more about what are you doing today in order for people to ask questions regarding your day today, not about the past. But I really wish to talk about the past because I was trying to create an chronological evolution, something to show the world how the growth process that you really love happened for you and where it began. So let's go back to the naming. It was entrepreneur, product manager, visionary. Tell me about everything. So what makes you say you are an entrepreneur today? What are you doing daily that will make you an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I could say what I'm not doing, and I will say what I'm not doing, but what I'm doing daily on a daily basis is, I think, together with you, is that we are building something on a much slower pace, right? So brick by brick, if I would put it in a short answer, is something that what I'm doing as an entrepreneur is that I'm helping build this wall or building, right? Brick by brick. It could be easier to maybe build it in other places, but right now we are over here, and maybe things are harder, maybe relatively, to build than in other countries. But yet again, we can question that: is it hard, or am I just seeing it hard? But in the same, So what I'm doing is just building brick by brick, and moving slowly. I think I'm moving slowly, but in the same time fast.
It's again the feeling that you are living like in 2 months. 2 years passed by in the last 2 months. That kind of feeling.
Exactly. And then why I'm saying that we're moving fast is exactly because of that feeling. And the first one is why slow. Slow could be just let's say a perception that it's not real in terms of reading all this kind of news. That startup, that business has fundraised, that team has went on from A to B in 2 months, right? And that kind of creates this fear of missing out of, or this fear that, oh, I should move much faster, right? So there's automatically, so there's automatically this feeling that is born in you that, I have to move much faster and faster, right? Because those are over there and much more competing. But yet again, then when I have some moments of clarity, is I pull back and I look at it, and from a much greater perspective in terms of where are we, in what kind of space we are. We are in a digital space, digital services, digital transformation, and everything moves really fast. But when I'm stepping back a bit and looking at a kind of a entire economic perspective, there are so many businesses that move much slower than us, and then I balance out things, right? So I do not allow myself to sit way too much in one extreme, because I believe strongly that extremes hurt. So that's why you always have to have this not constant, vivid, state of mind, be positive all the time, because the world is not positive, definitely not positive and only positive. There's definitely positive things in the world, and that's why I believe that you have to have, rather than being always positive, rather have this framework, mindset framework, always balancing things out, finding plus and minuses in each thing. So that would be around business. I think that would be brick by brick. And I could say that what I'm not doing is the fact that is the fact that I believe right now, right in my process of evolution, I do believe that there's, at least what I'm feeling in the last couple of months, there's a kind of thick layer of fear holding me back from the next step, from the next let's say phase of my life. It could be personal or business, but there's a big layer of fear. And the funny part is that I don't know what is it. So that's something that I still have to find out, because I definitely can see it, and I can definitely see some things that are holding me back.
Okay. You were talking about building brick by brick. Building what? Building
Grai. I think if that would be that would be a question. So building Grai, and Grai and the form that it is today is something that it's a package that has been formed from all this work and experiences that I had from the last 12 years, or even maybe a lifetime. But I could say that more over, like, professional wise, 12 years. So that would be like a conclusion of what has been what I have been working on for the past 12 years, and came to this moment to meet you, and also meet other fantastic people that are joining the Grai group. If you want me, I can say what it is.
So what is Grai group? Because you're just giving me like bits, like brick by brick by brick. I'm gonna get the answer out. So what is Grai group?
Grai group is a composition of services or businesses, right? Grai is split in three big parts, and that is we have Grai Ventures, Grai Media and Digital, and then we have Grai Consultancy. In Grai Ventures, that is a corporate venture development fund, venture development studio, where we partner up with corporations or medium market companies that do want to build, innovative startups or businesses that could, at some point in time, be, acquired, or they could do a merger with those companies, and somehow with that bring some new fresh air in terms of technology, people, business models within that old structure or old ways of working. So that's one. And Grind Media and Grind Digital, they are the main two departments that help these new ventures, these new businesses, and not only those businesses that we're going to build with in partnership, but any kind of businesses that are looking go to market services. And I say go to market services, I say from copywriting to strategy around how to do that, right? Because go to market is overall a strategy. And you have things like customer acquisition funnels development. You have podcast production that we do, a lot of stuff. We were definitely going to announce the Startup Grind community when we're going to launch the new brand.
Of course.
Yeah. Right now we have the old one. But the third one is Grind Consultancy, which we have services that are in partnership with other companies and partners. And that would be, for example, EU consultancy, EU funding consultancy, for example, law consultancy for startups. I think mid-market would be way too much. They already have set up these departments. But for startups, we do know people that can definitely help them. I know I needed it at the beginning. And that is Grind Group. And we call it beyond what it is today in the market. The format that we have today is because from my involvement in the startups ecosystem, I've seen that, as part of Startup Grind, also connected to why we are here and what it enabled me to see, right, new perspectives, is that Startup Grind gave me the opportunity to, fly in to San Francisco, go to the global conference, start conversations, and extracting all these kind of perspectives of where they are in terms of how they do startups and how do they build them. And every single time in all those conversations, all the people said, oh, we're rapidly prototyping, doing an MVP, and we're getting traction, we're getting customers. And my mind just went, we're just shutting down every single time in terms of, wait a second, you're just going to market just like that with a broken piece of software. And that's when I realized that what the North Americans do, and not only, also Western Europe does, but the Eastern European kind of start doing right now, is that they're not heavily focused on traction and marketing and go-to-market and sales. That's something that is heavily missing in the startup scene and startup ecosystem over here in I'm going to talk about Romania right now.
Yeah.
Because also from this other side, right, the CEE part or the Eastern European part, looking and studying history and looking at the economy of how it evolved, we can see that Romania is a highly engineering economy or market, right? It was always focused on engineering, craftsmanship, always, good looking and good made things have been done in Romania. And there was no focus on sales and marketing. Everybody was buying from us, right? So that's a mentality and that's a culture that has been moved into the business sector, right? Business in Romania exists roughly how much? Maybe 30 years old, 30, 35. Ish. So that's the mentality and culture, business culture that we have right now. And I think that, and I believe that we have a lot of things to learn just by observing how, USA does things, how London does things in terms of scaling. I really do believe that marketing and sales is the answer. So yeah.
So Grind Group is basically a small engine for startup companies to build something, market themselves, then raise money and grow. It's like this is the really short version of how you build. Okay.
If you think of a roadmap, and I can give you a use case. For example, we have a company, like a big company, like for example, corporations. We have Chess, which is an C,
Yeah.
right? It's an energy company, and we can, simply approach them and tell them, let's build a venture together, and we can build it right in this space. What we can do is that we can, start building an MVP. It could be, for 50,000, 100,000, or 150,000 euros. Build an MVP, get some traction, validate it, get that prototype presented to all kinds of relevant stakeholders. And after that, they step into the go-to-market department. They get traction, they get customers, right? It depends. If you're, for example, for this situation, it would be maybe a more sales approach, more business development approach, more let's say more classical ways of selling than purely digital. But if it would be, either ways, you have to get traction. So you just you pick the right tactics for the right business model. And within that space, within that department, Grind Media and Digital, you get traction. And after that, we definitely, right now, we cannot support, we cannot invest. We're not there yet. We definitely want to be there. But the third department is actually, from all this networking, heavy networking done for the last years that I've done, I came to, get to know a lot of interesting people and a lot of, venture capital people, fund managers that definitely would have a look, start a conversation. If, they would not be interested, they would recommend to another venture capital fund and so on. So we do have some possibility to open up doors for follow-up investing and stuff like that. So if you think about it, it's like a funnel that, you take it from birth, from idea to, MVP, prototype, not prototyping, MVP, then you get traction, maybe then you do seed stage and you get some, you get some funding, you improve the product. And then for the follow-up funding, we start, helping you out, opening doors, doing presentations and stuff like that. So that's where we go up until where we go. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna jump into the questions that I get in the Q&A section, and I also have some in private. So the first one is from Juana. She's asking, what motivates and inspires you? Also, did you have along the way so far any pivotal meetings that maybe shaped your progress or choices and got you where you are now? The first one is, what motivates and inspires you?
It depends, right? It depends because there's not. It's funny, right? You cannot
so,
have,
is it nice to be the one that needs to answer questions?
Yeah, it's hard. I gotta admit, right now, authentically, I have to admit it's hard, but it's good. I'm happy that it's happening. Back to your questions. One question: what motivates and inspires me? It's hard to answer that, and at the same time, it's easy, of course. But depends on where, in which kind of space. It definitely motivates me when it comes to personal growth, to learn more constantly and evolve constantly. It's just, I'm kind of, I could say, addicted, because I still have the energy of seeking more and understanding more. Maybe when I'm going to be 60 years old, I'm not going to be having this energy of having the passion of looking for more answers and more information. But right now, growth is something that motivates me constantly. It's hard to do growth on yourself when you're tired. I have to admit that, and we did experience that in the last couple of months with all this context, happy and sad in the same time. It's hard to grow when you're tired, but in the same time, that's the perfect inflection point where all the weak spots are shown to you.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where you can kind of, if you find a clarity moment, you can observe what is something that could be improved in you, or healed, or changed, or change the perspective around it. So, from that context, that will be something that motivates me. And from a context of business, what motivates me is the simple fact that we have so much innovation to do. I'm kind of
we got work to do. We got to do it.
I'm kind of happy because I stepped into digital and tech, and I didn't went into some kind of maybe classic business, retail and so on. And anyway, tech is catching up retail anyway. You have all kind of initiatives in all space, like horizontally. It's even said that tech is a horizontal industry and not a vertical industry. So it's attacking everywhere. But what motivates me in business is the sheer amount of innovation that is done right now and can be done within business. And sometimes I really get pissed off because I don't have maybe the money to implement it myself. It's hard to get to the right people to just poke them. Hey, have a look at this. Like, why wouldn't you do that, right? It's like it's in your face. But in the same time, I learned within my experience of navigating the corporate companies, I learned to understand why there isn't an interest at this moment, why it cannot be done at this moment. And you have a big list of reasons that are told to you, and that is because it's not budgeted, we don't have time, we don't have resources, the list could go on. And what inspires me, the feeling of new.
Oh wow.
That's something that inspires me, and that is in both spaces, personal and business. That would be something I always I just like the feeling when I discover something new. It's somehow brings quiet space, clarity, and just ease. And in the same time, I just get mesmerized how amazing we are as first of all human species, of how we can just bend our mind and change in the same time a lot of stuff inside, and I'm a true believer that you shape shift your reality from within yourself and not the other way around. Been there, done that a couple of times, and I just stood stupidly with a stupid face watching, this is not possible, and then it happened again, and then it happened again. So whenever you do something inside and change something within yourself as an architecture, put a new perspective, I'm not gonna go say and just say these classical go against your fear and so on, but whenever you bring something new into yourself, it could be a perspective, it could be a new experience, it could be whatever, and just observe how that thing changes you, and then the external reality.
Regarding the external reality, she was also asking about, did you had any pivotal meetings that maybe shaped your progress? Like, I don't know, maybe she's asking about an experience or like one of a kind lifetime experiences that shaped you.
Yes. So when I decided that, my professional experience started as a customer support, right? As a clerk. They don't like to call it clerk, by the way, but it's I started as a customer support, as a salesman first, but then customer support as I moved to Cluj, and then I moved to global mobility, and then I moved to doing all kinds of these voluntary based projects. And I decided at a particular moment that I want to move into tech. And it just came to me. I don't remember exactly how did I came to that plan. But the plan was, okay, I'm doing global mobility right now. How can I get to product management? How can I get into tech? And I said, okay, let's do project management in JCI. I did project management in JCI. That helped me. I got a card. And then the next card, this is a long story, Juana, to tell you the pivotal moment, but I'm going to get to it. Then I got to project management. And from that project management, I got burned out, went back home, sit for 3 months, and then I came back to Cluj and started again as a customer support at Aeon. And from that was the pivotal moment when Startup Grind came to my life, because by bringing Startup Grind to Cluj-Napoca, I invited Philip Candle, which was by that time he was the head of European operations or something like that. I don't remember exactly his role at Telenav, the company he founded, right? He was a co-founder, basically. And I invited him to have a conversation. We did have a conversation. You can also, see it on YouTube. And I think it was 2 months after that conversation with Philip. That was also strategic, right? There was a strategy behind it. I asked Philip, hey, I'm doing this. I've been involved in the startup scene. I, experienced these parts and so on. Do you have a position within your company? And he said yes.
That's when you began your product management job?
Exactly. That was the pivotal moment that changed my career. And I'm going to give you also an example, maybe from a personal perspective. That was a pivotal moment, yes, from the career ladder. And I remember the interview. That was one of the pure moments that I was really authentic, and I didn't want to, portray something that I've built as a, image. Look at how amazing I am. But I remember that I was really authentic, and it came from kind of a place of make it or break it, and combined with fear. But what I said in that interview, and I strongly believe that made a difference up until today. It was, I told Horatiu and Irina that I don't know everything. I'm new, but I'm super hungry to learn. And I remember up until today that, I saw a change in their face, in their eyes. And, quickly after that, we just finished the interview. And then I started the product management career. And then just moved on. I mean, normally, organically. So that was one pivotal thing. And from a personal and spiritual perspective, something happened around 27, 28. And it was, I couldn't just find a place that I could fit something just like within inside me, right? And I started having coaches, therapists around me, starting, learning a lot about myself. And everything brought it to one particular moment, my first psychedelic experience. And that changed my life. I don't want to go into too many details around psychedelics. I know that, in Romania, it's not something that you can easily do, but I did had an experience in a very safe environment. And that opened up so many doors within me, and removed so many social constructs that I had built in, that I could then easily see and start removing and start building a new me. So that would be, the second one.
Okay, thanks, Juana. I hope you get your answer, and I hope, and if you have anything to add, please write down. For now, I'm going to move to one of Valentin's questions. He said, where do you get all your energy from? You're doing so many things, and we all know it's exhausting. What's your system? Do you have a system?
My system is jack of all trades, and my system is cracking at this moment, Valentin. I have to admit, my system is failing right now. What you're saying, and I know exactly what you mean. My energy comes from just pure desire of building what I want to build. It's just that passion of building what I set myself to build. It's like I cannot sleep, at night sometimes without thinking at solutions of, hacking some stuff and moving faster, or finding solutions to build something, again, faster or better. Or just thinking about how can I improve myself, remove myself from the process, so that this thing that I want to build can be built and starts giving me feedback that this is the right way to go. And that's something that happened with getting Mădălina on board. And since Mădălina is on board, I can see that and it's a validation that businesses are built by people and teams. And when you have a really good partner alongside, things start to move on a much better, let's say, consistent and sustainable way. But the energy comes from that sheer passion I have for what I want to build. And it just came to me. I think it's connected to the fact that I can see that so much improvement can be done that I don't see myself doing something else. Mm-hmm. And now specifically I'm talking to Romania, right? I can see so many opportunities that can be done, but unfortunately right now I do not have the money power to start filling the gaps. Mm-hmm. And that's where I want to get to, have together with you and the future partners that we're going to have in Grind Group, to start building that system, that engines that allows us to fill in the gaps where we can fill in the gaps, because there are so many opportunities. Like I said at the beginning, it's hard. Maybe it's harder to build in Romania than in other places, and it always have a layer of luck, of course. But that's the energy. That's from where I get the energy.
Okay, I have a question now regarding startups. What, if you can find, or if you do know, what are the 3 most common mistakes startups do? Because now with building Grind Group is like you are building a startup. Yeah, it's a more complex one, but it's still a startup. So you have worked with startups, you have read about startups in the last years. What are the 3 most common mistakes? And I'm going to follow up on that question. But first, tell me, what about those 3 mistakes?
I somehow feel to connect to what are the top 3 mistakes that Romanian startups do, and and it is the fact that, again, we are an engineering-driven culture, business culture, and engineers. So engineers start putting a lot of passion and love into how they are building it, how qualitative, how nicely the code looks and works, and it's scalable, and that's great. That's something you have the context within, the context in, a software development agency that some other North American company is requiring for the software development agency to build, like a really solid software architecture that is scalable. And then you have the engineer that goes on and build that startup and does the same thing. But things move. Things are done in a different way. At least that's what I've seen so far in my experience being involved in the startup ecosystem, and being able to compare these, is the fact that it's better to have a designer at the beginning to do a prototype, to do a design, get it out there, start talking to people, validate it, and then, go to investors or start building the code if you want. Maybe you can be an indie hacker and easily get, traction with a design prototype, something that you can build in no code, get traction with it, and, then start building the code. So that is one. I hope that's clear enough. The second one would be a mistake that we did with one of the ventures that have been built and born, and that is that we started to operationalize with let's say too early in the game, right? It wasn't the case to start operations, to start building operations around the business at that moment, and we could have done it the other way around. And that's something that you just have to learn when you don't have somebody to coach you. So that is one thing. Maybe to do the right things when they are required, but in the same time, this is a bit complicated. In the same time, you have to have somebody to show you or guide you, like a mentor or a coach to guide you when to do what. So that is the second thing. And the third thing would be fear of European funds.
Oh, okay. Talk more.
Yeah, fear of European funds, because I've been there, I've been afraid. And yeah, it's true. I mean, there's also a learning in that. There's a lot of bureaucracy in European funds. Let me just change this one.
Yeah, I sent the sun to you. See, so it's not, I don't have sun anymore. I had the golden hour and now I sent it to you. Please go on.
So there's a lot of fear, or biases towards the European funding part, and of course there's a lot of bureaucracy around it, because those are the systems and the mechanisms that the European Union has to maintain, or have in place to maintain order, to have not tactics but systems to to have in check all those money that they deploy for economic upturn. But one thing it would be, if I would be a startup, I would definitely apply for European funding. And Startup Nation, which is running this year, I think third time, is más o menos good enough. We started with that. It was good. It helped us a lot. But it would be easier to apply to a European funding line that allows you to do the budget on a much
what you need.
Exactly, on a much flexible way, right? And one learning from that is, two learnings from that. So as a mistake, that what they do is they don't turn into European funding. As a learning within that is the fact that what I would do, there are two things. When you write the project, when you write the program, the project that you want to apply with, write what you want to do with it. Don't write for something else and do something else instead, because that's going to give you headaches. So I did try to do this, and not in a bad way. I just tried to put more things, as I usually do, to put more things into it instead of one. So I put 3 things instead of doing one. So that was one mistake. And the second thing is, if you're going to apply big, because the bureaucracy is the same for 44,000 euros and for 500,000 euros. Mm-hmm. And the third one would be get a person that is responsible for that paperwork, so you can run the startup and build the startup, so you don't get hooked up into all the paperwork and bureaucracy part. That's very important. That could suck the energy out of you.
I was when I read the question, I said I was going to have a follow-up question, and the question was, did you make these mistakes? And I would love for you to answer with yes or no.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so all the the advice that you were saying, it came from your own experience.
Yeah, I did. I don't feel right within myself to give advices
Yeah.
that are not mine.
Yeah.
I could easily, and I know theoretically, right, advices and stuff like that, and I could easily share information, but I don't want to step into that place because it doesn't
Okay.
feel right. So
Okay, so you mentioned these three mistakes, and you've done all these mistakes, and you learn from them, and you can offer advice for other startup people that are trying to move, to grow, to develop a company. And if someone is interested in having a chat with you, they can write on Facebook or on LinkedIn, right?
yeah,
I'm just trying to
definitely.
get you connected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see
Okay.
what you're doing over there.
I gotta do the branding stuff. Okay, moving on. Yeah, you have something to say? Sorry.
No, just that. Yeah, definitely they can reach out, of course.
Of course. Great. I have a question about habits. Alex is asking about what are your top 3 habits that you try to maintain on a daily basis, even on the bad days?
Phew. I'm super aware that I have habits that are maintaining my system and how I operate. What I like around building habits, and then I'm going to move into your question, Alex, is that I don't like to build them cognitively, although I want to start experiencing that, how I can build habits cognitively. What I did so far is that also, connecting to what I said before, that I believe that you can shapeshift your reality within yourself, through yourself, the external reality. That's how I see the human brain, in terms of operating these habits, that I prefer changing those habits from not a cognitive place, but more from a emotional and spiritual change that drives that change of habits, instead of putting myself into a context that I have to do something physically so that I can rewrite my neuronal pathways, right? I prefer going right to the source and rewrite the neuronal pathway with a psychedelic experience. But
you can't just do that on a Thursday every 2 weeks.
Of course,
because...
you cannot do. But
okay.
Yeah, my top 3 habits that I try to maintain on a daily basis. Let me think about it.
Go ahead.
That's a really good question. 3 habits that I try to maintain on a daily basis. I'm gonna say, habits that I can see that I have, and maybe they're not good in a way, or depends, how you see it. But I drink coffee, I think, every day, so that is one habit that I have. The second one is gym, which is not, it's not on every single day, but gym and working out, that is definitely, I could move that into before coffee. Gym is one habit that I keep even on bad days, because that's how, I got to a point where I can physically sense the chemistry that is kicking in after like 1 hour of working out. So that's something that helps me change my brain chemistry and putting me into a different emotional and rational state of mind. And the third habit would be, I'm always reading something new, constantly. Every single day, I always discover something new, and I always like to do that. That would be a third habit.
Okay. Nice. Let's have a question from Theo, who was asking about the networking thing. How do you do networking on a regular basis, and how did the way you are doing networking change during this pandemic and the different world that we are living in today?
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing very much networking these days. I'm just working a lot together with Mădălina, but we did have a conversation the other day that it would be great to re-enable those habits of networking and socializing, because I feel that it's something that is missing drastically from at least my life, and I'm talking about personal experiences. Is missing drastically. I can feel that whenever I step outside with my um, electrical scooter, is that I can just troti. I just feel that I have this weird feeling that I'm kind of misplaced, since we were spending so much time in the apartment. But going back to the question and answering how I did, if that was the question, how I did networking back then, or how I do networking, is it's a funny thing. I discovered something around the networking part, because I didn't do it again rationally. I didn't learn about it rationally, start reading what are the top 5 things to do in networking and so on. It was just a passion that drove me to learn more, right? The passion to learn more and meet new people. And I didn't have an objective into it. I just wanted to have a conversation with new people. And around that subject of startup ecosystems and how everything works. So I didn't have a clear objective, but not having a clear objective made me, or brought me to a position of being authentic. Every single time when I was asking putting some questions to that person, I didn't have a hidden agenda behind. So the conversation just just went, naturally. There wasn't, the person didn't felt, kind of attacked, or, you can sometimes see on their face that that person is kind of scared, or maybe gets anxious around why is this human being asking so many questions, right? And that's something that I discovered when I started doing strategic networking, that I had this opportunity to experience 2 positions within myself. When I did networking, just natively curious about what's that startup about, how did you get to that, and so on, and that's it. I just learned a new thing. That was my way of learning. And then the second thing is, when I had a strategic networking operation, is that I knew how to open up that person and then put the question that I wanted to put a question, right? So I think, that's how I built in networking, and that's how I do networking. I don't always go with, I don't always go with a salesy approach. I go with like a human being, authentic, and asking around the person. And sometimes when I see that the person is really hard to crack, I don't even put the sales questions. I just approach him second time in a different context. Yeah.
Okay. Do you use TechTalk as a networking tool?
I do use TechTalk as a networking tool, yes. And I use also Startup Grind as a networking tool, but also in the same time meeting new people and downloading what they know. And for me, that was the best way of collecting wisdom, by talking to other people. That's the fastest way. That was the fastest way for me of learning all these complicated stuff around the tech ecosystem, the tech businesses, and so on. But by learning by that, at the beginning I didn't understood all of the part, but as time moved away, I just understood one thing, then the other thing, then those 2 things clicked, and so on.
Great. I think we had a delay. I hope everything is okay because I'm not a technical person here. So if everything is okay and everyone is seeing us and hearing us, we can move on. Maybe it was just on my side.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just do a checkup. Please, everyone, leave in the chat just a small comment that you see and hear us so we can go on. Thank you for doing this. Stefan, I'm gonna move on to a question from someone I know you know. It's a question from Dan Mitsko, asking, do you think it is important to work hard or smart, or maybe even both?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I think you work hard when you don't know that you can work smart. I've been there in the space that I worked hard, and I worked hard because, again, like I said at the beginning, there were so many spaces of the I don't know what I don't know. And because of that, I was working hard. I didn't knew maybe the right person, the right tool, the how to better do it, how not to do all of it by myself, right? And only within that one thing that I've said at last, the last version is the of doing all of it by yourself. There's at least for my situation, I've discovered that there's so much fear behind that, right? And that's the moment when you step into the more personal and spiritual part, right? Exactly. And this is, I'm happy that we came to this to this point that I can showcase exactly what the bridge between business and personal is, because that is when you have to stop the business, go inside yourself, identify why. And I'm going to speak on my behalf. I had to go into within myself and identify why am I afraid to let go and give trust, responsibilities, and not be afraid to work with people on a much, on my dream, on my passion. I'm talking about this, not in a, being a teammate in a corporate company, but around this specifically when you have a lot of emotion invested. So you have to go back, go within yourself and start deconstructing what is not working well within that space of where you want to build your dream, and reshape that, and then come back and try again, right, within that business space.
Do you consider this is the smart way of working? You consider that by educating yourself?
Yeah, that is the pathway to smart working, because you work hard. At least that's how I see it. You work hard because you don't have the specific tools that help you work smarter. And when I say tools, it could be personal tools, right? It could be self-awareness, emotional intelligence, keeping in balance stuff, managing a team, whatever. It could be whatever. It could be personal or business. But you have to, I really believe that you get to smart through hard. But yet again, I can dismantle that, and it depends on what kind of education you have. And if you have a really good education, a really self-aware and emotionally open and aware family that helps you to become a smart young man or female, you could start working smart from the beginning. But
okay, thanks. The next question is a bit different. I don't know the answer, even though I do know you. Someone, David, is asking, how would you handle if you got fired from a job that you really liked? And he explained he got fired a couple of weeks ago, and he really liked the job, and he doesn't know how to get himself together. How would you manage the emotions and the research for a new job and all that is coming with this experience?
That's, I think, yeah, that's hard. I've been in your place. I've been fired, but it was my fault. It wasn't me. So it was the other person. But in the same time, it was both of us, right? Because I didn't. My stuff was in another place. But what I would do is just build a business.
The next question from David is, if I'm the founder of a startup, how can you help me grow my company?
Right now, I could just guide you and support you, and maybe coaching if I would be fit up to a certain level around how can you navigate in the early days of building your startup. But that would be right now, right, based on your information that you gave me. But coming back to the first question is, yeah, just build a business around it. If that, context, that leader from that business decided that you were not fit, or it was time to, depart, whatever the reasons, right? I'm not going to talk about the reasons, but just build the business the type of business you are in and you like doing the job for yourself, or become a freelancer within that space. If you like doing only those specific things and you don't want to do operations, recruitment, administrations, finance, legal, whatever, all those big parts of the business part, become a freelancer in that space. Depends on what you like to work on, but I would try becoming a freelance in that space maybe at the beginning, and then start thinking about, oh, this is maybe cool. Think about opening a startup. And also in the same time, so this is from a career perspective, but in the same time, really do the work of analyzing only your part, what happened over there, from a personal perspective, right? What made that decision happen? Could be a lot of stuff, million reasons what happened over there. But it would be, for you, it would be really helpful just to have a look inside.
Okay. Someone is asking, what are some of the greatest anxieties when starting a startup company or a creative studio?
The greatest anxieties?
Yes.
It depends very much from situation to situation, because it could be, if you don't have clients from the day one, it could be how I'm gonna get clients, how I'm gonna get money, how I'm gonna and that everything boils into the big anxiety, how I'm gonna live, right? So it depends very much on analyzing your resources and making a decision from that space. And that would be, for example, if I'm just gonna shoot for the moon and say that if you're back home and living with your parents, that's soft enough cushion for you to start a business and not have big costs, right? You're going to eat back at your parents, you're not going to have to pay rent, and you're going to have a lot of time to just invest in learning, doing business development, doing sales, maybe a lot of stuff that you could start doing and not have really operations costs. And yeah, that would be one thing. Analyze your resources, and that brings clarity and calmness.
Okay. I have a question as a follow-up from this one. What was your biggest fear when deciding to build a startup?
Yeah, mine was the money part.
And did you get to live the worst scenario that your anxiety was giving you?
For a while.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
but did you survive?
For a while.
Okay.
For a while, I did survive until we had funding, but because we didn't had enough funding, that would allow us to pivot the company to where we pivoted today, and not be forced into getting other side projects to work on, and get that financial safety net. It would be different, right? If we had that opportunity to have that cash flow, that not cash flow, but runway of cash that would allow us to grow. And that is one of the, this was this was part of the conversations that I had with different people around how broken was the Startup Nation funding system. It was that they were not thinking systematically, and with coming up with follow-up investing, analyzing what did came out from the first tier, second tier of investments. Did good companies come out of that? So they didn't do that, and I kind of consider myself maybe lucky, and that we did survive and got until this point, because I really do believe that a lot of businesses, good businesses, died from Startup Nation. And for those founders, it was a bad experience. But coming back to the question, it was finance. Yeah, that was the biggest anxiety that I had at the beginning. I had it for a while. Like I said, the runway didn't allow us to pivot to where we are today. But in the same time, I'm grateful and happy that we didn't had that money, because we had the time to come to this moment, right? And all the information and experiences that we had to come to this moment and create what we created, and we have today. Maybe if we did had that cash and runway to do what we proposed ourselves to do, maybe we weren't here.
Catalin is asking, how did you get off the fear of money part?
Seeing of how much money is in the world.
You mean by being connected? I know about you that you are connected with investment funds and venture capital and so on. Does being connected with that kind of environment help your mindset shift? Like from a mindset of fear, like I'm afraid I'm not going to have money, by connecting with that kind of environment help your mind switch?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did, because I saw and read about so many use cases and scenarios where not successful, where many startups had success in fundraising, and I saw startups with good ideas, excellent ideas, innovative, impact based ideas. And also in the same time, I saw startups that you could say that they could do better, but in the same time, they did fundraise. It's, the fundraising process, it's really complicated. And I do believe that you have to be a magician around it. There is definitely something that you can learn, and steps that you have to do, but in the same time you have to be a magician around it, because you have to be, you have to know the right person, you have to get to the right person, that to the right venture capital fund that has that specific investment strategy that is perfect for what kind of business model and industry you are in. And in the same time, you have to be within that timing from an economic perspective that your business fits to be investable in. So there's a lot of pieces that you have to align. But yeah, coming back to the question, when I witnessed systematically through evidence-based actions and results of how much money there is that is investable in startups, I that around the money fear just went off. And of course there other blockers came. I'm talking about myself. There's a lot of blockers that came.
Okay. Dan is following up on your question about David's being fired and so on. And Dan wants to know, if you get fired from your job that you really like, are you always going to seek for a bad thing that you did? Are you always the problem, or someone else can be it? I think we're going to tap into some Stefan spirituality right now. So hold on.
So it's a funny part, right? Because you do have to do some kind of due diligence and analysis around what you did in that specific job and context. What was the sequence of events that led up onto you getting fired or losing a specific job, and let's say hypothetically because of you, right? You have to kneel down your ego so much, or just kneel down your ego and look back and be honest to yourself, first of all, that you did wrong so many things, or maybe systematically did something or had a very negative habit within that professional space or job that was affecting that business, or it was affecting that culture. I've seen so many situations where people were fired just because they were messing up the company culture. And that is something that, for example, I relate and empathize to that, because I can see right now how culture is really important. Of course, up until a certain number of employees, and definitely the first number of employees is really crucial and important for setting up that culture. But maybe after 200, 300 employees, you just start becoming a bigger company and you kind of lose touch with it. But coming back to the question, you just have to be aware of what you did and really do the analysis of if you did wrong or not. And if you did wrong, what did you do wrong? Start asking that, was it wrong? If it was wrong, how that wrong habit, right, that bad habit was born in the first place, and start healing that part, right? You have crumb breads that you can follow. You just have to be careful and pay attention of where those crumb breads are. And definitely it's also around the other person too, because I'm a big believer in mirroring. So whatever we see in ourselves, we see in others, or the other way around. You just have to have this awareness framework always activated or on to be aware that some kind of habits are activated in relationship with a specific person, but those habits, or not habits, but those reactions sit in you, right? So you, from a spiritual perspective, you could easily get to a point where maybe in history you have a situation, a bad situation, where you would react in a let's say anger manner, and after some time doing some development on you again come to a situation like that, but this time you respond differently. So there's definitely some things that you changed along the way.
So you believe in the thing that the universe is going to put you through the same situation many times until you learn the lesson and you do something different?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's hard to observe it, but yeah, I do.
I was just going to say that we are coming close to the end. So if anyone has other questions that they would like to ask, please do in the Q&A section. I still have two questions. One is more serious, and the other one is like more my style. I'm going to be playful about it. So in your presentation, when we prepared the event and so on, we said that you want to have an impact on the Eastern European business environment. Why do you want to do this?
It's connected to what I said earlier, and the reason is that I see a green field of opportunities and so many gaps in so many industries that can be transformed or improved, right? Not totally disrupted, but definitely you can, improve and transform different industries. So that's the reason. It's a big,
it's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, but I really think it's doable in a sustainable and and having down to earth, risk management and risk practices around, what you're investing in and what you choose to build. But yeah, it's doable because I really do believe that there's a lot of space in CE that we can build on.
Okay. My next question: can an entrepreneur have a personal life?
Mm-hmm.
Your reaction was okay.
This is a tricky question.
Of course it is. It was one that I decided to ask.
I think it's one and the same.
The life of an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I mean,
so it's not two separate lives.
Those are not two separate lives. At least that's not how I see them and how I perceive them. It is what you are, right? It's like me asking, can you be a cook and also have a personal life? Right? It's just an entrepreneur and that's it.
Okay. And my final question, how would your perfect holiday look like?
Holiday?
Yep.
I haven't been on holiday so long that I cannot imagine a holiday right now, how it would look. But it would definitely look. I would definitely be on the seaside.
Okay.
For the first part of it, and then the second part of the holiday, it would be the mountainside. Because in time I became a big lover of mountains after I discovered my connections to them, and I would split my holiday in two.
Okay. Well, this Alex said Team Mountains.
Yeah,
so you got a friend
exactly.
here. You should you're gonna go trekking together. Well, thank you, Stefan, for being here and for answering questions. I know for everyone who attended the event and even for you, it was not the classical Startup Grind chat because it didn't had a chronological or a red line that we were from point A to point B, but it was my intention to do it like this because I know you have done this so many times, and I know maybe you were expecting me to do the same thing that you did, so I chose to ask questions really mixed in order for you to connect to some different states for every question, and I really hope you liked it. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I have to admit that there's a kind of funny feeling and funny pressure around when, and I do believe that this context, being live and live streaming to all these people, it's this funny context where a pressure kind of gets built in around how you answer, right, or what you answer. But yet again, I do know that that's only within me, and that's something I just have to do, change my perspective around it. But it was something that definitely got me out of my comfort zone, and that's why I said yes in the first place.
Okay. Well, thank you. I am looking forward for our debriefing with the team. And for the ending of this event, I would like to thank all the attendees. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to also look at the Facebook because I know we were live there. I'm learning this. I'm gonna do better next time. But thank you for being here, to the ones joining on the Zoom and to the ones joining on Facebook. It means a lot to us that you are here. And also, I would like to thank the team behind this event. These are the people that are always making our magic happen. And all the things that you see on the social media channels from the Startup Grind Cluj-Napoca is built by a great team of people. So thank you. We are really, really lucky to have you. Me and Stefan are always talking about this. So thank you again. To everyone watching and listening, you can always connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or you can find Stefan on LinkedIn also. You can listen to his podcast because this episode of me talking with him for the Startup Grind is going to be on the Startup Grind podcast, but he has his own podcast, which is called TechTalk, and you can listen there for conversations that he has with people from the tech environment. And it's not only from Romania, it's tech environment from abroad. So connect also with the Tech Talk. And again, follow us, share our content, send us messages if you have ideas with other speakers that we should get on board. And always build a community together with us. And what? You need some... Yeah. Yeah. Well, Catalin, thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who joined. And Stefan, if you would like to have the final word, I would be happy to let you close this event.
I would say that I agree with you 100%. I'm super happy for the people that we have around and super grateful for that. So Alex, Flavius, Maria, Gabi, Theo, Robo, all the people, Ivo around us, that we are working with them either on our own projects and brands or on our customers. I'm really happy, and there's a really good feeling about how all people kind of fit right into everything. And on the last page, I want to thank you for everything that you support and do around Grai and the team, and of course conducting this interview, which was great. Yeah, that would be my final thing. And one thing for the listeners would be stay close. We're gonna launch something really cool in a 1 month time frame. We're gonna have a holiday before, but we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back strong in the fall, in September. So we're gonna be launching really cool stuff, really cool stuff that has been making from the beginning of the year. So yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good night and enjoy your free time, and also enjoy the work that you do regardless of the domain, or if it's startup or if it's tech, or if just enjoy life. Have a good night.
Bye everybody.